AC circuits are circuits where the voltage and current varies with time. Sine waves can be a simple representation for the current and voltage and can be identified as a function with time. Sine waves has three parameters associated with it, which identify different properties of the sine wave. The amplitude of the sine wave identifies the peak-to-peak voltage usually, or peak-to-peak current. The value of W usually is associated with the period of the sine wave, which is how long for one cycle of the sine wave to occur. The value of theta is associated with the phase of the sine wave as well. The sine wave can be represented in two different ways, the polar way or the rectangular way. To convert from a sine wave to a polar wave, the peak-to-peak voltage or amplitude has to be divided by the square root of 2 to get the RMS voltage. The phase of the sine wave also has to be put next to the phase of the polar. This allows for multiplication and division of two separate voltages or amplitudes to be done simply. The rectangular representation of a sine wave is associated with a complex number A plus JB. This expression can usually be achieved by multiplying the current by the impedance of a circuit. As reactive elements are introduced into a circuit, such as inductors or capacitors, the complex number is introduced to associate a phase shift with the sine wave. Rectangular form is used for easily adding or subtracting different voltages. Converting from rectangular form to polar form is a simple process. The rectangular form, a complex number, can be graphed on a Cartesian plane where the imaginary units are used on the y-axis and the real units are used on the x-axis. The length of the vector associated with the complex number can be computed using Pythagoras' theorem. The angle associated with that vector can also be computed using simple trigonometry, such as the inverse tan of the two complex numbers associated with it. Converting from the rectangular form to the polar form can be done simply using those two functions. Converting from the polar to the rectangular form of the voltage can be done simply using trigonometry. To get the resistive element of the voltage, what you do is you multiply the cosine of the phase by the RMS voltage. To get the reactive part of the voltage, what you do is you multiply the sine of the phase by the RMS voltage. Converting from polar to rectangular form and vice versa can be done easily, and this should be able to assist you when you're multiplying and dividing voltages or you're adding and subtracting voltages in future problems.